Hi guys, this is Michelle with Deception Bytes. Did a video the 18th about the Q drops, and I thought Q was done. Q wasn't done. I had gone to bed and thinking that there wasn't going to be anything more posted, and of course he snuck up on me in my sleep. So I woke up today and I had several emails of people alerting me to new Q posts, and I'm going to get to those now. I have spent a great deal of time today looking into these, and I've got a lot of information to go through. So I am hoping that I can stay on track and not lollygag and get through this and get all this information out. But before I get started on that, I just wanted to show you something quickly. It's a meme that I found, and it's just hysterical. It's white, it's a house. What difference at this point does it make? I love it, because of course those were Hillary's words about Benghazi. Now, let's get into this. This is the next post after the one that I left off yesterday, the 18th, thinking that Q was done. Anyway, this is a picture of some people that Q thinks we need to look at and know about, and this one is not from Q. Someone was kind enough to find this picture, a better picture of that group. It's the same group, it's just a much better picture of them. So, who are they? Well, it's recipients at the first Andrew Carnegie Medals of Philanthropy Award ceremony. Say that 10 times fast. Top right to left, Ted Turner, William Gates III, and that, I believe, is Bill Gates' father. If I'm not mistaken, I'm almost 100% sure. I'd say 99.99% sure that that is Bill Gates' father. George Soros, of course, we know who he is. David Rockefeller, can't mistake him. Bottom, left to right, is Irene Diamond, Lenore Annenberg, and Brooke Astor. So, and these are the same people. It's just a much better picture of them. Don't know why you'd want to see them, a better picture of them, but you know, it's interesting. So Q wanted us to see that. They're all together there. I think it's interesting. These two, especially Ted Turner and William Gates with all these. Okay, now the next one he posts is this one. And who are these people? Well, this is WJC Governing Board Chairman W.E.B.Du Rothschild. And where is this? Ronald S. Lauder, Pope Francis. So this is David de Rothschild. This is Ronald S. Lauder. This, of course, is Pope Francis, WJC Treasurer. This is, WJC Treasurer Chala Safra. This is Jewish Congress, President of Latin American Jewish Congress, Jack Turpins. I've heard that name before. WJC CEO Robert Singer here. And Executive Director of the Latin American Jewish Congress, Claudio Eppelman here. Pope Francis welcomed over 100 leaders of the World Jewish Congress, which is WJC, on Wednesday and issued a strong condemnation of anti-Semitism. At a private audience with WJC President Ronald S. Lauder in the morning, the pontiff made it clear that outright attacks against Israel's existence is a form of anti-Semitism. Now, I'm not going to go out to this article here because we have so much to go through that we've got to keep moving, or this video is going to be 3 hours long. Okay. Now, of course, we know who these two are. It's George Soros and Lord de Rothschild. And especially this face, it's a very, very unique face. Like, I can tell that face anywhere. George Soros, he tended to look a little bit different when he was younger. So sometimes I have to take a second look. Okay, so here's the next one. Now, we know this is Pope Francis. What's he doing? Well, he's kissing the Godfather's ring. Who's the Godfather? David Rockefeller. Pope Francis kissing the hand of David Rockefeller in the presence of Henry Kissinger and John Rothschild. So, that's what that is. Now, Q wanted us to see these pictures. Well, we know who this is. Obviously, it's Obama. And Soros is seated at the right here. You can see Soros. His early financial support helped jumpstart Barack Obama's political career. Soros hosted a 2004 fundraiser for Obama when he was running for the Illinois state and gave the maximum allowed contribution within hours of Obama's announcement that he was running for president. So, we know that certainly that Obama had the backing of Soros, and he also had the backing of Saudi Arabia at that time. Prince Al-Walid bin Talal paid for his Harvard education. Now, let's go up to the next one. Who are these people? Well, this was a little bit tougher. The Boises with Mao and Anna Louise Strong in Mao's villa in Wuhan on March 14th, 1959. I'm sorry about the pronunciation. Some of these are very difficult to pronounce. Anna Louise Strong, Mao Zedong, American scholar W.E.B.Du, and Rothschild connection to fund wars. International Bank of Settlements, the citizens are the collateral via their birth certificates. Excuse me. And I'm sure that you've all heard of this. This was new to me. When I found this out, it actually shocked me quite a bit. It wasn't new to me now, but when it was new to me, it shocked me. Hitler, Stalin, Mao, and the unlikely connections they had to the Rothschilds and British royal family are explored in a mind-bending interview with Greg Hallett. WWII and the rearrangement of global power in the 20th century, the Royal Almanac of Gotha, and the continuing conspiracy of power and bloodlines through the modern day is illuminated. Fake heirs and body doubles from Bin Laden and Saddam Hussein to Prince William and Prince Harry are revealed, plus the future technology being used now to keep the masses oppressed is laid out in an uncensored Buzzsaw interview hosted by Sean Stone. Now, I think I'm going to put these below for you, the links below, so that you can check this out. But again, this is something that Q wants us to know. Okay, well, certainly we know who these two people are. This is George Soros and John McCain. So what's happening here? Soros and McCain at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. According to the Huffington Post, in an article published during McCain's 2008 presidential run, Soros funded the McCain Reform Institute, a nonpartisan 501c3 organization focused on promoting accountability and transparency in government. Wow. While the senator was still with the organization. That makes you laugh, doesn't it? Like, knowing what we know, it makes you laugh. The Huffington Post article also referenced two talking points memo reports. One indicated that Soros gave the Reform Institute $150,000. Another said Soros Open Society Institute in 2002 gave $300,000 in grants to groups defending McCain's campaign finance law against legal challenges to it. So I'm not going to go out to that because I don't think, right now we don't need to get that in depth or we're going to lose ourselves in the details. I think we need to stay a little bit above it and kind of get an overview of everything. So, okay. So let's look at the next one. This was still on the 18th. Senate vote RR, question mark. So RR is Rod Rosenstein, or Rosenstein. I don't know how that's pronounced. I think it could go either way. The Senate voted 94 to 6. I had to take out that Tuesday because I lifted that from an article. The Senate voted 94 to 6 to confirm Rod Rosenstein as Deputy Attorney General. Wow. 94 to 6. Now, he asks, Senate vote count. Sessions? The Senate voted 52 to 47 to confirm Sessions as Attorney General. And then he says, okay, this is Q, not me. Usually I put mine in red and I put Q's in black, but somehow that got changed to red. So Q says reconcile. How do you reconcile that? Well, I think you need to be voted in. You have to have 51 votes, and he only had 52. So he just squeaked in by the skin of his teeth. Sessions. Now, obviously, Q is wanting to highlight that. Now, why? I would assume that it is important for some reason. Why was Rod Rosenstein chosen to be Assistant Attorney General? I don't know. I don't know why he was chosen to be Assistant Attorney General. Maybe some of you know. That is one thing that I haven't, this post I haven't gone as in depth with as some of the posts that are coming up. And it certainly, I certainly could have done more research on it, but at some point you realize that, you know, time is very precious, and, you know, I have other things to do in life aside from this, unfortunately. So, because this is very interesting to me and I enjoy doing it. But anyway, so if any of you know, please put in the comments below, why did Rod Rosenstein draft a letter supporting James Comey's termination? And he did. He wrote a memo that supported the termination of James Comey. Now, why he did that, I don't know. There's speculation. I don't know. Now, again, if some of you know, please put it in the comments below, because I don't have all the answers, and I don't claim to have all the answers, and it, you know, it takes everyone. And some of the people that listen to this are extremely brilliant and come up with very good information. So please comment. Why did Rod Rosenstein use full weight of his office to attempt to block release of document to Congress today? Well, I would assume because there's something in there that's going to implicate him in something. Why else would he want to block it? Or block, you know, it's either because he's implicated in something or somebody he's close to is implicated. Because I can't think of any other reason. Confused? Well, I wouldn't really call it confusion, but I would like to know the answers. News unlocks past. And he has said this over and over again, and we've found that to be true, that the news does unlock the past. And there's things that he drops in posts that we might not understand, but then something will happen in the news and we'll think, oh my gosh, you know, Q said something about that. Now, he's saying the beginning of the end. Okay, that's good news, because we do want an end to all this. We want the people that need to be brought to justice. We want them brought to justice. We want this to end. DWS failed to flee. No, gosh, you know what? I didn't look into that. DWS. I'm not sure who that is. You know, I didn't even see that there, because I should have investigated that. Well, I'm going to have to just go on, and I will come back to that at a later video and look into that. Or maybe some of you know the answer to that right away. So if you do, please leave it in the comments. So I think that is, let me see what I said here. President Donald Trump was the one who officially and suddenly fired FBI Director James Comey on Tuesday. This was a while ago. I took this out of an article. But the person who made the case for why Comey should be fired was Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. Rosenstein's memo to Attorney General Jeff Sessions, made public by the White House, argues that Comey's handling of the investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of private email server as Secretary of State tarnished the FBI's reputation. So, Rod Rosenstein, wrote this memo, and this is part of why James Comey was fired, although it's been, stated that he was going to be fired anyway. So I don't know. But that's that. Now, the next one is just a little, JPEG here. Storm coming. Warning. And I think after everything, everything's hitting the fan right now. I mean, and it's splattering everywhere. And so, this is right where it's coming. Warning. It's not, what is it, like it used to be when I lived down in Louisiana. There was a tornado warning and a tornado, one meant that the tornado was spotted, and the other one was, well, it could happen. I think this is okay, the storm's been spotted, it's gonna hit. So, warning, and what is that? Gosh, I haven't lived there for a few years, and now I forgot because we never get tornadoes here. Okay. Now, this is really recent news, and this one hit today, very early morning. It was just after midnight when Q dropped this, and it's interesting. He says, CNBC, bomb airport, news credentials failed at security. And he just puts that as a fact. That's not a question. That's what happened. Their news credentials failed at the security. False flag attempt. Well, if you remember earlier this week, Q told us to be on guard for a false flag attempt, right? So it's possible. And Q also said that ISIS was on life support earlier this week, and that, I don't know what that was supposed to mean other than ISIS is on life support, so they're limited in what they can do. And then clowns failed. Yes, apparently they did. And by clowns, in case there's somebody listening that this is new to them, the clowns in America is the CIA, and he always refers to them as clowns because apparently some of them are. All right, now we're going to go look at this. Hopefully. If my computer will, the little hamsters are running full tilt there. I don't know. What's wrong here? Okay, here we are. Feds. CNBC News crew arrested after trying to smuggle improvised explosive device through Newark Liberty Airport. What on earth? 7 members of a cable television crew have been arrested after they tried to sneak a fake explosive device through a security checkpoint at Newark Liberty International Airport, the Transportation Security Admission said Thursday. A law enforcement source with knowledge of the investigation said that the team was filming for cable network CNBC, which is based in Englewood Cliffs. The TSA did not release the names of the people they said were arrested, and the Port Authority only said that it was investigating the incident. The law enforcement source said the crew likely would be charged by the Essex County Prosecutor's Office with creating a false public alarm, conspiracy, and interference with transportation, but that Essex County would make that determination. The TSA members of the group attempted to intentionally carry through the security checkpoint an item in a carry-on bag that had all the markings of an improvised explosive device. At the same time, others in the group covertly filmed the encounter. So, What do you think of that? I don't know if there's anything. No. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. They were obviously, I mean, it appears from what's being reported that they weren't actually trying to blow anything up. But what were they doing? Were they trying to prove that security is lax and filming and expecting that they were going to get through? I don't know. Is this a false flag attempt? The way it's being reported, I would say no, but I don't know. It sounds like Q is pointing to the fact that it might have been, but I don't know. I'd be interested to hear what you think. I think it's odd. I don't know why anyone would do that. I really don't. They're risking a lot to do that. But it sounds like the bomb wasn't real, so I don't know. But you can do a lot with a fake bomb too. You can scare a lot of people. It'd scare me. Anyway, so let's go on. And again, comment what you think. What do you think? Do you think it was a false flag attempt? Do you think it's being blown up? Do you think it was anything at all? Do you think it was something other than what's being reported? Don't know. Okay. The next one. Timing is everything. State of the Union. Now, he's got a State of the Union address on Tuesday, January 30th, coming up. And it will be the first State of the Union address given by President Trump and his second joint session address to Congress. So, I'm thinking that he's saying timing is everything. So what is he saying, that something will be released during the State of the Union address, or something will be tied up by the time of the State of the Union address, or something's going to be dropped at that time? I don't know. But he's saying timing is everything, and then he's saying State of the Union. So obviously the State of the Union address is important. It's a time marker of something. Now, what that is a marker of, I don't know. But I guess we'll see soon enough. It's coming up. Now, here we're getting into a big post with a lot of information. A lot of information. Okay, this was today, and it was at 2:45 in the morning. And Q says, Hussein cabinet /staff. Who used private email addresses? Well, Obama's staff used private email addresses. And what was the purpose? Well, to hide the information from the Freedom of Information Act requests, since work-related emails are ordered public memos that people should be able to see. And they didn't want this stuff to be able to be seen. They didn't want people to be able to file a Freedom of Information Act request and get this information. So they all had private email addresses. Now, that was the purpose. And he's listing people here. And he's listing those that had private email addresses. And he just put the initials. And I went out and I looked at the full staff, Obama's full staff, and that's how I figured out who these people were. LL, Loretta Lynch, she was Attorney General from 2015 to 2017. Hillary Rodham Clinton, Secretary of State, 2009 to 2013. Julian Castro, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, 2014 to 2017. John Cornyn, I didn't put what he did, sorry. Chuck Schumer. Alyssa Mastromonaco. Okay, I got to think about how to pronounce this. Mastromonaco. She was Scheduling and Advance Political Director for Obama's Hope Fund Political Action Committee. And that would be interesting to look into, because I bet you there's some stuff there too. Obama's Hope Fund Political Action Committee. Anyway, we don't say his name. I get a laugh out of that, and that's John the Stain, or John McCain, as you all know him. Rod Rosenstein is RR. SR is Susan E. Rice. She is was Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs in the Clinton administration. JB is John Bryson. He was Secretary of Labor. And H.A. Howard A. Lerner, senior environmental and, well, I don't know now, because now I'm seeing it's A. Lerner. So I don't know. I may have to look into that one again. I don't know if it's this person or not. Senior Environmental and Energy Policy Advisor prior to the campaign. Executive Director of the Environmental Law and Policy Center. Might not be him. Okay. VJ. This is the one that I had the hardest time with. I don't know why. It's Valerie Jarrett, Senior Advisor to the President of the United States and Assistant to the President for Public Engagement and Intergovernmental Affairs in the Obama Administration 2009 to 2017. Did Hussein use a private email address? Now, he's always calling him Hussein instead of Obama. Why? I think he's trying to draw attention to the Muslim fact. I don't know any other reason why, but did Hussein use, because actually even Obama is not his real name. His real name is Barry Soetoro. Did Hussein use a private email address? Well, as a matter of fact, he did. Imagine that. And his private email address was bobama@ameritech.net. And then Q says, at what? Ameritech. Now, let's go back. Let's back up before we go forward, okay, and look at some of this stuff. Just because we can. Not that. This. We have to look at this because I've marked it as an important link. And I do that because sometimes I skip over stuff and I don't want to, the stuff that I really has to be seen, I put important on it. So, because sometimes to save time, I'll skip over stuff. So here's an important link. Get ready. Here it comes. Okay. And I'm just going to close a little bit of these so we can save some. Okay. WikiLeaks reveals Barack Obama's personal email address. Interesting. Hang on, I'm going to stop this. Okay. And for those of you that keep suggesting that I get a pop-up blocker, I know you're right. It's just I'm so freaking busy because I'm writing my thesis and I'm doing all sorts of things and doing this and researching, and I have to do it. It would make my life so much easier, but I just haven't taken the time to do it, but I will. So even a president-elect needs to send email, of course. And as a result of the stolen email messages released by WikiLeaks, we now know what President Barack Obama's email address was during the presidential transition at the end of the 2008 campaign. bobama@ameritech.net. 5 emails to or from that address show up in the hacked email file of John Podesta, head of the Hillary Clinton campaign. Dating back to the end of the 2008 campaign, the emails show that Obama team was focused on getting the new administration up and running even before Election Day 2008. Funny how they knew. In one email dated October 30th, 2008, Podesta emailed Obama and advisor Pete Rouse under the subject heading, Economic Staffing Decisions. Barack, good meeting yesterday, Podesta wrote. When we got off on the idea of creating an emergency National Economic Council, we left unresolved 2 questions that were contained in my 2-page cover memo. Podesta pushed for quick decisions on whether William Daley or Daniel Tarullo should run the interim economic staff team early on in the transition. Podesta recommended Tarullo. Podesta also reminded Obama that the president-elect had recommended billionaire investor Warren Buffett to the list of potential members of an interim outside economic council. He asked Obama for a decision. In a reply stamped at 11:47 p.m. that night, Obama replied, "I will give you an answer on this tomorrow, Barack." The email noted it was sent via Obama's BlackBerry device using AT&T Wireless. The Clinton campaign has not confirmed that the emails released by WikiLeaks are legitimate documents. Well, of course they are. And CNBC cannot independently authenticate the emails. Obama was so attached to that BlackBerry that he urged White House... Sorry, I heard something banging around in my kitchen. Strange. Must be the cat. In a reply, it noted that it was sent via Obama's BlackBerry device using AT&T Wireless. The Clinton campaign has not confirmed that the emails released. Okay, we just read that, and sorry, I got sidetracked there and lost. Obama was so attached to that BlackBerry that he urged White House security officials to come up with a way for him to be the first president to carry a wireless email device as a sitting president. The Secret Service and U.S. intelligence agencies expressed concern about the prospect of foreign intelligence services gaining access to any device that the president would carry. Yeah, rightfully so. In the end, they developed a secure workaround, and the president was able to continue to use mobile email. Disclosure of email from Obama himself in the WikiLeaks trove, the theft of which intelligence officials have said was enabled by Russian intelligence, which is ridiculous, that's not true, indicated that intelligence officials were right to be concerned about the privacy of the president's communication at the time. Other emails to bobama@ameritech.net do not appear to have generated a reply from the president-elect. Ameritech was one of the 7 regional bells created after the breakup of the Bell system. It was acquired by SBC Communications. In one email sent at 7:39 on election night of 2008, Podesta emails Obama with some last-minute thoughts on the upcoming G20 meeting. "I don't want to bug you today," Podesta wrote. "The memo pasted below concerns a possible invitation to the G20 meeting on November 15th. That email would have reached Obama just 21 minutes before the major television networks called the election in his favor, making him the next president of the United States. Already, Podesta was focused on what Obama might hear about the G20 from President George W. Bush in an expected upcoming congratulatory telephone call. On the chance that President Bush would raise this with you tonight, I wanted you to be aware that it is the unanimous recommendation for your advisors that you not attend. As long as you are aware of that, we can review the contents of the memo tomorrow." In the memo, staffers weighed the pros and cons of accepting an invitation to the G20 if it were extended. On one hand, the meeting just 11 days after the election would afford you an early and efficient opportunity to evaluate the positions of leaders from other economically important countries, they wrote. But on the other hand, with at most very limited influence on the outcome of the meeting, you would be associated with it. If, for example, the meeting is widely regarded as an anemic response to grave systemic problems, you will be tied to that perception. What's more, they wrote, attendance alongside President Bush will create an extremely awkward situation. If you attempt to disassociate yourself from his positions, you will be subject to criticism for projecting a divided United States to the rest of the world. But if you adopt a more reserved posture, you will be associated not only with his policies, but also with his very tenuous global standing. The memo also noted that outside economic advisors were unanimously against Obama going to the meeting, including Bob Rubin, Paul Volcker, Larry Summers, Daley, and Tarullo. Still, advisors worried that rejecting such an invitation would be seen as rejecting an offer of bipartisan cooperation from the outgoing Bush administration. So they developed 4 ways to diffuse the tension, including heading off an invitation even being made and heading off speculation about the meeting at an early news conference. There would likely be question about your potential attendance at the G20 meeting, something we could make more likely by quietly suggesting to someone that such a question would elicit an interesting answer if asked. Also considered were declining the invitation but sending an advisor in a limited observational role, or declining the invitation entirely. Obama did not attend the G20 meetings. Other emails to Obama address were much less significant. In one dated October 6, 2008, Podesta emails Obama contact information for Erskine Bowles and Leon, presumably a reference to Leon Panetta. It is likely that Obama has long since been using other email addresses. Politico reported in September that FBI officials showed Clinton aide Huma Abedin a copy of an email exchange between Obama and Hillary Clinton in which Obama used a pseudonym email address. Abedin was amazed that the president used an email pseudonym. How is this not classified? Abedin is said to have replied to the FBI agents interviewing her. The FBI report said Abedin asked the Bureau for a copy of the Obama-Clinton email. It is possible that the Ameritech.net email address is still in some sort of use by Obama officials. However, an email sent by NBC to the Ameritech.net address did not bounce back as undeliverable on Thursday, but no one replied to it either. So when was this written? That was 2016. So, keeping that in mind, let's go forward. Now, so he did have a private email address, and, at what? Meritech. Who just resigned from Google? Well, that would be Eric Schmidt. Okay, so let's take a look at this, since Q is... Eric Schmidt is the executive chairman of Alphabet Inc., which owns Google. He is responsible for the external matters of all the holding company's businesses, including Google Inc., advising their CEOs and leadership on business and policy issues. Why was Eric Schmidt in North Korea? That's a good question, isn't it? Why would Eric Schmidt be in North Korea? The things that make you go, Well, let's take a look. If I can get it to open. Here it is. Oh, come on. There we go. I could tell you a joke while we're waiting. No, I won't. It's all right. Okay. Hillary paid Facebook to rig elections while colluding with Russian Uranium One. Now I know you're saying, what does this have to do with Eric Schmidt? We're getting to it. Just hold on. I haven't forgotten about Eric Schmidt. Trust me that I know where we're going. Okay, here we go. Crime 1. Her private email server hid unpublished 2009 to 2010 State Department contracts with Facebook, contracts with Facebook managed by Dmitry Shelvenko. Crime 2. Hillary's Facebook election-winning template clearly violates the Hatch Act. Crime 3. Hillary's contracts obstructed justice in Leader versus Facebook. Crime 4. Hillary colluded with Facebook to set State Department internet policy. And this is stuff that was new to me. I didn't know this stuff, and it's very interesting, and we need to get into it. Okay, on May 26, 2009, Russian oligarch Yuri Milner invested $200 million in Facebook private stock brokered by his Russian partner Goldman Sachs. Milner had worked for Obama's 2008 bailout director Larry H. Summers when he was chief economist for the World Bank in the early 1990s as a researcher along with Sheryl K. Sandberg, who later became Sumner's chief of staff at the U.S. Treasury, then started Gmail, and is now Facebook's chief operating officer. Okay, talk about a run-on sentence. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm an English major, and I'm OCD, so forgive me. While Sandberg started Gmail for Google, Milner started Mail.ru. The intent to take over global communications is evident in hindsight. On June 16, 2009, Hillary approved the Vladimir Putin-controlled Rosatom to purchase 20% of Americans' uranium reserves through Uranium One. The Clinton Foundation had already received more than $145 million in pay-to-play donations from Uranium One beneficiaries, and of course we know this. Hillary's treason in her compromise of Americans' energy reserves using Russian surrogates is evident. That treason is compounded by a simultaneous $1 billion financing by Cisco, Intel, and Google of Vladimir Putin's Moscow Russia Technology Center, Skolkovo, on June 27, 2010, just 2 days before Hillary approved the uranium sale to Rosatom. See also, Cisco commits $1 billion for multi-year investment in, I can't pronounce this. I can't even pretend to pronounce it. On June 29, 2010, just 2 days after the Cisco, Intel, Google $1 billion donation, Moscow-based Renaissance Capital paid Bill Clinton $500,000 for a speech, even though Renaissance was the lead analyst recommending a buy on Uranium One. On March 30th, 2011, Russian oligarch Yuri Milner overpaid $100 million for a gaudy mansion in the center of Silicon Valley in an ostentatious display of a rogue CIA-inspired arrogance after his $200 million private Facebook investment. It's all going to come together. What is becoming equally evident is Hillary's simultaneous compromise of America's elections, digital networks, and court proceedings through secret election-winning template contracts with Facebook using Russian surrogates. Pay attention. This is really interesting. Hillary Clinton and the State Department entered into a secret contract with Facebook for $120,000 to build a template for winning elections using advanced Facebook marketing. The next month, on October 16, 2009, Hillary promoted Facebook on a video presentation to a U.S. State Department-funded Alliance for Youth Movement Summit in Mexico City. This contract was not known because Hillary had hidden it on her private email server in the basement of her house. It first came to light through the dogged work of Judicial Watch, who obtained it in April 3rd. Should be obtained it on April 3rd, 2014. Okay. So, this stuff is okay. Hillary entered into 3 contracts with Facebook for $385,000. The collusion with Facebook was wantonly criminal on many levels. Columbus innovator Leader Technologies, Inc. was suing Facebook for patent infringement on November 19, 2008 in Delaware Federal District Court. Reagan-appointed Judge Joseph J. Farnan, Jr. was assigned the case. While the case was preparing for trial, and despite 4 motions to compel Mark Zuckerberg stonewalled providing his 2003 to 2004 Harvard computer devices and emails for review in the case. We now know that his attorneys at Gibson Dunn, LLP, had custody of 28 Harvard computer hard drives and emails. After stonewalling for a year, they lied to the court and said they had lost the information. That was nice of them. We believe Facebook and Zuckerberg hid this information because it will prove that Zuckerberg is a mere stooge of the rogue CIA and was given the programming code from the IBM Eclipse Foundation to start Facebook. It will prove that IBM was given the code from James P. Chandler III, who stole it from his legal client, Leader Technologies, Inc. What Leader had no way of knowing was that Chandler was working intimately at the highest level with the Secretary of the Department of Defense, Highlands Forum, to weaponize the Internet. He held legal private meetings with favored private companies to set policy on how the Internet would be controlled and profited from by the military-industrial complex. The cabal of military-industrial complex criminals have used Leader's invention for 17 years for free. Leader's shareholders across the country are starting to file Milner Act notice to demand that President Donald Trump pay them for using their property without compensation. While Zuckerberg was openly lying to the court, Hillary Clinton and the State Department entered into secret contracts with Facebook to build a template for winning elections using advanced Facebook marketing. These contracts were managed by Dmitry Shevchenko, whose Russian background has been obscured by the shadow government. In American courts, litigants have a solemn right to a fair trial. Litigants have the right to assume that no government representative will use their position of public trust to interfere in the case in favor of either side. When a government representative interferes in a case, that crime is called obstruction of justice, for obvious reasons. Those interfering are attempting to influence the outcome of the case in favor of one of the parties. In American elections, citizens have a solemn right to a free and fair election. Citizens have the right to assume that no government representative will use their position of public trust to interfere in an election in favor of either candidate. When a government representative interferes in an election, that crime is called election tampering, and it is a violation of the Hatch Act. In American public contracts, citizens have a solemn right to transparency regarding the spending of public funds. Except in special circumstances, government representatives may not use their position of public trust to favor certain private parties in uncompetitive contracts. When a government representative enters into no-bid contracts and colludes with the General Service Agency to hide the existence of those contracts, that crime is called fraud. When such fraud involves parties across state lines, that crime is called racketeering. In conclusion, the crimes described above alone are enough by themselves to convict an average American of racketeering and treason. The evidence of these crimes come from Hillary Clinton's private email server. The Russian collusion nexus between Uranium One and Facebook election rigging is stunning. Readers are encouraged to get this article to your elected representatives. Ask them to 1. Pay Leader Technologies for the last 17 years of free use of their social networking invention that Hillary obstructed, and 2. Prosecute Hillary and her racketeers for her Uranium One and digital election rigging, racketeering, and treason. Now, see, what they did is they came up with this template for winning elections. So, let's say, well, and this did happen during this past election. If you type in something to do with the election, they're going to put Hillary Clinton at the top, and they're going to put Donald Trump at the bottom. They're going to suppress those listings. And of course, we know that this happens, but it's now been proven that that's what they did. And this was Twitter, Google, and Facebook. So, interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. So they're accusing President Trump of colluding with Russia to win in the election, and turns out Hillary was colluding with Russia and Facebook to win the election. It's funny, though, because American patriots caused the president to win, but no one wants to hear that. It means that there are a lot of us that voted and stand for him even now. I love having this chuckle. If they don't get these criminals this time, I swear our government is cowardly. So anyway, let's continue on, because this is just laying a foundation here for what has been happening. So let's go to this one. Oh, for heaven's sakes. There we go. Okay, Google bigwig Eric Schmidt shocks with surprise resignation amid reports his personal life is being eyed, and it's not about his personal life. In a surprise move, former Google CEO Eric Schmidt is stepping down as executive chairman of the search giant's parent company, Alphabet, amid reports his personal life is being scrutinized. That's not the case. One of the highest profile figures in Silicon Valley, Schmidt attracts plenty of media attention, citing unnamed current and former employees. The Wall Street, sorry, you can't hear it, but this is playing and it's driving me crazy. And now I gotta shift. Okay. One of the highest profile figures in Silicon Valley, Schmidt attracts plenty of media attention, citing unnamed current and former employees. The Wall Street Journal reports that the executive's personal life, no, that's not it. I'm not sure why I put this in here now. No, I don't know. Sorry. Well, according to the company's latest proxy filings from April, Schmidt held shares worth $4.9 billion and maintained 5.6% voting control over the company. Page and Brin together control a majority of the votes, with shareholdings worth 4 times as much apiece. A spokeswoman said Schmidt was not selling any shares as part of the transition. Alphabet has not yet responded to a request for comment. And he says he's leaving to dive into the latest in science, technology, and philanthropy. I look forward to working with Larry Sergi on our future here at Alphabet, Schmidt tweeted. I had something else here that I wanted to show you, and this was not it. I hate when that happens. Okay, sorry. Okay, I gotta find it now. Sorry, I'm trying to get you so much information that I should have taken a moment to organize it a little bit better. Okay, now Q had asked us why Eric Schmidt was in North Korea. Well, as it turns out, he was setting up a private network and expanding their internet capabilities. That's what he was doing. And, this talks about his trip here. Eric Schmidt said he sternly warned North Korean officials that their country risks falling further behind economically without a connection to the global internet, but didn't elaborate much further on the trip. Schmidt's daughter Sophie was also with the delegation, and in a lengthy Google site post titled "It Might Not Get Weirder Than This," she described a trip full of highly staged encounters, tightly orchestrated viewings, and what seemed like genuine human moments. Okay, we don't care about that. We are wanting what they were doing there. And let me see now. Schmidt also described the bizarre state of tech in the country, with certain goods and services available only in special tiers. She writes that at one point she attended the Korean Computer Center, what she called a deranged version of the Consumer Electronics Show, where their latest innovation was demonstrated, a tablet running on an Android that has access to the real internet. She writes that she also saw virtual reality software, a video chat platform, and other random stuff. Most importantly, she notes that what's so odd about the whole thing is that no one in North Korea can even hope to afford the things they showed us. Of course, not many people will be bringing home Westinghouse $300,000 custom-made 4K TV either. They're building products for a market that doesn't exist, Schmidt writes. Schmidt ends on a seemingly positive note, writing that North Korea seems to acknowledge that connectivity is coming and that they can't hope to keep it out, but will have to wait and see what direction they choose to take. Be sure to read the rest of Schmidt's impressions. Okay, we don't care. We don't care what Schmidt's impressions are. Do we? Do we care? I don't. Okay, moving on. Let's go to this link. See what little things are in this link for us. Okay. Why did Eric Schmidt go to North Korea? That's what Q asked us. So why did he? Let's find out. Chairman and former CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt, recently traveled to North Korea on a fact-finding mission of sorts. Schmidt wanted to ascertain how North Korea utilizes the internet and see for himself just how restrictive it is. The information he shared was startling but interesting. A country as large and powerful as North Korea is far behind many of its peers, and that could be troubling. But why go to a communist country? Travel to North Korea is difficult at best, so why take the chance? We also have to wonder why Google cares about how North Korea uses the internet. Well, actually, I was wondering that myself. Sure, the company is a tech giant and search magnet, but North Korea represents such a small fraction of potential world online traffic. True enough. As much as we can learn from what Schmidt reported back, we can also infer that North Korea is indicative of a larger problem for Google. And what would that be? As much as I'd love to leave politics out of this discussion, no, leave it in. It's not possible to do so with a communist nation in reference to openly sharing information. Although called the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea, or DPRK, it's anything but democratic. Communism is restrictive by nature, and that includes information. With the passing of Kim Jong-il, or Kim Jong-2, isn't it? And the rise to power of his son Kim Jong-un, a few problems were exposed. North Korea is a severely depressed nation, and its people face a variety of serious problems daily. While using the internet for information is probably a distant afterthought for many citizens, it's a concern for a company like Google. In North Korea, you have a very good example of a larger problem for Google. It's important to mention that Schmidt didn't travel alone. Former governor of New Mexico, Bill Richardson, was his guide, and he traveled in a delegation alongside 8 other members. A former UN ambassador, Richardson was in North Korea on humanitarian mission in response to North Korea's launching of long-range missiles late last year. Yeah, sure he was. The White House referred to that trip as unsuccessful. Wonder why. It's also worth note that Richardson no longer enjoys any official political capacity. So this was a private trip. Interesting. Richardson described Schmidt's reception as that of a rock star, which sheds a little light on just how important this issue of an open internet really is. Sure, it's just the internet, but it represents so much more than that. Right now in North Korea, the internet is only available to a select few. The government, the military, and the universities. That's representative of an intranet, which is basically what its technology is. Schmidt notes that there is a supervised internet, which means that people were not able to use the internet without someone else watching them. Wow. Schmidt also found that despite the walled-off nature of technology in North Korea, it would be very simple for the country to turn the internet on, as he puts it, from his Google page. Schmidt writes, there is a 3G network that is a joint venture with an Egyptian company called Orascom. It is a 2100 megahertz SMS-based technology network that does not, for example, allow users to have a data connection and use smartphones. It would be very easy for them to turn the internet on for this 3G network. Estimates are that are about 1.5 million phones in the DPRK, with some growth planned in the near future. For Google, North Korea represents a roadblock for something that is very important to the company, the free and open internet. Oh yes, they are so concerned about the free and open internet. That's why they censor everything. Right. Whether or not you're familiar with the recent issues surrounding this cause, it's worth understanding that Google is fervently behind the issue. Yes, they are. Mostly because it's the right thing to do. Yeah, they're so concerned about doing the right thing. Oh, but also because its business model is based on it. We visit google.com, then enter what we want to know about in the search bar. The results pop up, and so do some unobtrusively placed ads. We click on the ads, and Google makes money, and that's what's important. In entering a new frontier of search and services, Google is committed to being a mobile-conscious company. The desktop will always be there, but the world is increasingly mobile. A system like that of North Korea, which operates in such a limited space, concerns Google. How will it drive revenue from a restricted system? More importantly, will this catch on anywhere else? With such a large number of North Koreans unable to access the internet freely, there is little reason to have devices to access it. An open flow of information is the linchpin to just about everything Google does, from selling devices to creating services. If it can't access the internet, what good is a device that has such features? What do you bet they were there looking at how they can still make money while restricting the internet? Because we know full well that's what they're wanting to do here. They're wanting to restrict our free speech and decide what we can see and what we can't see. But they don't want it to interrupt their money making. Absolutely not. So they have to come up with ways that we can still get to the internet and still think that we can search and find anything we need without really letting us see what we need to see. You know, I started using DuckDuckGo because, I mean, it's already been admitted that they're censoring the results that come back from, any of your inquiries. They're censoring those. So I've gone to DuckDuckGo to get my information. So, because none of this information I could find on Google. So, just so you know. Anyway, was the visit worth it? Educationally, yes. Schmidt learned quite a bit, bet he did, about how North Korea operates in regard to treatment of technology. Obviously, driving revenue is a concern for Google. Well, of course it is. But the issue is deeper than that. This is ultimately about the transfer and open sharing of information, and we all know that they are so concerned about the open transfer and sharing of information. That is just number one on their list of priorities. I'll not believe his trip was strictly business. To really understand the situation, it was important for him to see firsthand just what was going on. Schmidt himself said that North Koreans listened and asked questions, so they are at least open to being open. The focus is a free and open internet. Of course it is. And North Korea simply doesn't have that right now. And neither do we, in case you were wondering, which I know you weren't. Okay, why should we care? In discussing this issue, we're remiss to place too much emphasis on the sensational facts. North Korea and communism, they are worth consideration because in essence, communism is the heart of the matter. While I don't subscribe to the communist mindset, I respect those that do and their belief in that system. For free transfer of information, however, old line communism simply doesn't work. I'm not going to go on with this because, because I don't believe for 1 second that Google or Facebook or Twitter or any of these social media platforms are concerned about the open sharing of information. They're not. They've proven that. Look what they're doing. Shadow banning and censoring YouTube, all the censoring that's going on with YouTube. I mean, they're not interested in the open exchange of ideas and information. They're not. They're interested in getting the approved message out, their approved message out. Very Orwellian, very Orwellian. Okay, so I think I'm getting too tied up here, so let's go on, because I'm sure you don't want to listen to me all night. I don't even want to listen to me all night. Okay, now what's this? See if this has anything new. I don't know if there's anything new in here. Let me see. There was something in one of them that I wanted. Her handlers or anything? Okay, I don't know. But let's move on from this because we're getting too involved in poor old Eric Schmidt. And we've got places to go and people to see and things to do. in getting to the rest of these posts. Okay, so what private, now, he says, Q says, why was Eric Schmidt in North Korea? Well, he was installing a private network, from what I've understood. And this, he asks it again, why was Eric Schmidt in North Korea? Because obviously the reason that he said he was there was not the reason that he was there. Because Q then says, what private network did Eric Schmidt set up in North Korea? Because he knows that we would have no way of getting this information, that he was setting up a private network. So he's giving us the answer to that question, essentially. What private network did Eric Schmidt set up in North Korea? And then he asks it again. What private network did Eric Schmidt set up in North Korea? Who else was in North Korea during this time? Obama. What private email address did Hussein use while in office? Barack Obama at Ameritech.net. Why would the chairman of Google travel to North Korea? It's a good question, isn't it? Why would he? Why would he? I mean, it's not that far-fetched, because we've already been told that the CIA runs North Korea, and Eric Schmidt is CIA. He's a CIA operative. So, and he was given private contracts, worked for, Hillary Clinton to get her elected by, censoring data and so forth. So who the heck cares what's on my mind? Okay, now, so where was I? Why would the chairman of Google to travel to North Korea? Well, I've mentioned a couple reasons why I think it's probably, why he probably did. I mean, there's any number of reasons. Number one, he was installing some sort of private network. Probably, I don't know. But why would North Korea allow access to Eric Schmidt? Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? They're both CIA operatives. They know that he has the internet. They need the internet. They do need the internet. I mean, especially those in the upper echelons of government need the internet. The universities would need the internet. So the military would need the internet. So yeah, Eric Schmidt is pretty important to them. Nothing is ever truly erased or deleted. And I know that to be fact. I know that even once you erase a computer, that someone with knowledge in so-called forensics can get into there and find what was on that hard drive. So, yeah. And he says, these people are stupid. Well, evidently, because even I knew that. Evidently, they are stupid. And then he says, declassify POTUS. And I think that POTUS is saying that he wants all this stuff declassified. That's how I would read that. You may read it another way, and if you do, please let me know, but that's how I read that. That the POTUS himself is pushing for all this stuff to be declassified, which he himself could do. The shot heard round the world. Now, I do think this is going to be the shot that's heard round the world, because this is not going to just stay in the United States. It's going to be heard everywhere. It's a huge, huge, huge deal. Huge. Have I mentioned huge? Okay, let's see what this is. Because look, it was 5 hours ago. I've forgotten by now. Okay. Google chairman has acted as Obama's chief corporate supporter. He has also received unrivaled access to top policymakers. Eric Schmidt has enjoyed virtual open-door access to the White House during the Obama administration, records show, meeting with the U.S. president and top White House officials on at least 18 separate occasions from 2009 to 2015, not counting large meetings and social events like state dinners. The meetings include 4 with President Obama, one of which appeared to have been a private meeting in the Oval Office. Why would Obama need a private meeting with a business a businessman. Schmidt played an important role in President Obama's 2 election victories, and his visits to the White House coincided with the government's decision-making on a wide range of issues central to Google's business interests. Those included an antitrust investigation by the Federal Trade Commission, the U.S. government's rapprochement with Cuba, and potential legislation governing piracy and copyright, which posed grave threats to Google's core advertising business. At the same time, Schmidt has been appointed to numerous White House advisory positions, giving him privileged insight into the administration's policies in technology, science, and military defense, as well as unusual access to top policymakers. Schmidt's relationship with the Obama administration expanded rapidly during the first years of his administration, records suggest. Schmidt was a late backer of Obama's 2008 campaign, officially endorsing him just 2 weeks before the election on October 20th, 2008. Even so, he was among the earliest visitors to the Obama White House. On January 28, 2009, just 1 week after Inauguration Day, Schmidt met with the new president alongside a small number of other corporate executives, including BET CEO Deborah Lee and Aetna Inc. CEO Ronald Williams. 2 months later, Schmidt was appointed to the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. In contrast to his relatively late endorsement of Obama, the first time round, Schmidt threw himself into the task of winning his re-election 4 years later. Schmidt was intimately involved in building Obama's voter targeting operation in 2012, recruiting digital talent, choosing technology, and coaching campaign manager Jim Messina on campaign infrastructure. The system was credited with helping Obama achieve his unexpectedly large margin of victory. Okay, I want to get down to the stuff with Hillary. I thought this stuff was in here about Hillary, him helping Hillary. But apparently not. Anyway. Okay. Ooh, is this it? What is this? Yeah, we've already looked at that. Hillary paid Facebook to rig elections while colluding. We already looked at that. Okay. Let's move along. Move along. All right, what else do we have here? Okay, this is what I wanted to, the stealthy Eric Schmidt-backed startup that's working to put Hillary Clinton in the White House. An under-the-radar startup funded by billionaire Eric Schmidt has become a major technology vendor for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, underscoring the bond between Silicon Valley and Democratic politics. The groundwork, according to Democratic campaign operatives and technologists, is part of efforts by Schmidt, the executive chairman of Google parent company Alphabet, to ensure that Clinton has the engineering talent needed to win the election. And it is one of a series of quiet investments by Schmidt that recognize how modern political campaigns are run, with data analytics and digital outreach as vital ingredients that allow candidates to find, court, and turn out critical voter blocks. But campaigns lacking stock options and long-term job security find it hard to attract the elite engineering talent that Facebook, Google, and countless startups rely on. That's also part of the problem that Schmidt and the Groundwork are helping Clinton teams to solve. The Groundwork is one of Clinton campaign's biggest vendors, billing it for more than $177,000 in the second quarter of 2015, according to federal filings, yet many political operatives know little about it. Its website consists entirely of a gray-on-black triangle logo that suggests the digital roots of change while also looking vaguely like the Illuminati symbol. And yes, it does. We're not trying to obfuscate anything. We're just trying to keep our heads down and do stuff, said Michael Slabby, who runs the groundwork. He was the chief technology officer for President Barack Obama's 2008 campaign, a top digital executive for Obama's 2012, and the former chief technology strategist for Tomorrow Ventures, Schmidt's angel investment fund. He explains that the groundwork is the parent company, and its parent company, Chicago-based Mishel, which according to its website is named for a Hebrew word meaning you may, and is devoted to helping humanity solve our most difficult social, civic, and humanitarian challenges, are all one project with the same backers, whom he declined to name. Schmidt did not respond to several requests for comments, but several Democratic political operatives and technologists who would only speak anonymously to avoid offending Schmidt and the Clinton campaign confirmed that the groundwork is funded at least in part by the Alphabet chairman. The groundwork was initially based in an office in downtown Brooklyn, just blocks from the headquarters of its biggest client, the Clinton campaign. There, a staff made up mostly of senior software engineers began building the tools and infrastructure that could give her a decisive advantage. Wouldn't that be called cheating? Slabby has a reputation for being able to bridge the cultural divide between politics, or politicos, and techies, and sources say the groundwork was created to minimize the technological gap that occurs between presidential campaign cycles while pushing forward the big data infrastructure that lies at the heart of modern presidential politics. There is another gap in play: the shrinking distance between Google and the Democratic Party. Former Google executive Stephanie Hannon is the Clinton campaign's chief technology officer, and a host of ex-Googlers are currently employed as high-ranking technical staff at the Obama White House. Schmidt, for his part, is one of the most powerful donors in the Democratic Party, and his influence does not stem only from his wealth, estimated by Forbes at more than $10 billion. At a time when private sector money is flowing largely unchecked into U.S. politics, Schmidt's funding of the groundwork suggests that 2016's most valuable resource may not be donors capable of making eight-figure donations to super PACs, but rather supporters who know how to convince talented engineers to forsake, at least for a while, the riches of Silicon Valley for the rough-and-tumble pressure cooker of a presidential campaign. There are a lot of people who can write big checks, Slabby says. Eric recognizes how the technology he's been building his whole career can be applied to different spaces. The idea of tech as a force multiplier is something he deeply understands. So this is the technology, and I'm not going to read all this. This is the technology that helped re-elect Obama, and it was the technology that was supposed to elect Hillary Clinton. Didn't quite work. So the election was rigged in more than one manner. So, I mean, even look at it now, all of the media for President Trump, almost all of it is negative. It's all negative. And yet they tend to ignore anything to do with Hillary. I mean, look at, Trump just had a clean bill of health, but the media is going on and on like he's going to have a heart attack and there's something wrong with his mental health and how can this be, and we don't believe he only weighs 239 pounds, and on and on and on. But they didn't seem to be at all concerned about Hillary, who acted bizarre on the campaign trail. I mean, out there. So I don't know. So this is some of the concerns, and there's lots more of this stuff out there, but I mean, literally, we would be here all night. And Hillary Clinton's last presidential run, like many ultimately unsuccessful campaigns, was hobbled by infighting among her consultants and staff, la la la. Okay, well, I don't think that's what caused it, but anyway. Let's go on. I'd like to finish up tonight sometime, Okay. What's this? It's a surprise every time. Okay, WikiLeaks reveal Barack Obama's personal email address. Okay, we've already looked at that. I think I just put down, different references for it. But I think we've looked at this. And I think we've, we've just about done that one. So we can go on to the next one. Why are American taxpayers subsidizing Tesla? Well, that's a very good question, isn't it? Why are we? Why are we? I'll ask it again. Why are we? Elon Reeve Musk, born June 28, 1971, is a South African-born Canadian-American business magnate, investor, engineer, and inventor. He is the founder, CEO, and lead designer of SpaceX. Of course, we're familiar with that. Co-founder, CEO, and product architect of Tesla, and co-chairman of OpenAI, founder and CEO of Neuralink, and founder of The Boring Company. I don't think I would name my company that, but that's just me. He is also a co-founder and chairman of SolarCity, co-founder of Zip2, and founder of X.com, which merged with Cofinity and took the name PayPal. In December 2016, Musk was ranked 21st on the Forbes list of world's most powerful people. As of January 2008, Musk had a net worth of $20.8 billion and is listed by Forbes as the 54th richest person in the world. So, yeah, why are we subsidizing Tesla? Q is calling it welfare for the rich. I think that's exactly what it is. Exactly. And he says, why? Well, I think most of us would like to know that too. Wouldn't you? I sure would. Wouldn't it be nice if our taxpayer money went to supporting Americans in need, the veterans, the elderly? Anyway, let's move along. His goals include reducing global warming through sustainable energy production and consumption and reducing the risk of human extinction by establishing a human colony on Mars. Okay. Private emails, Google, North Korea, Tesla. So, Q is telling us that private emails, that they're, okay. He's saying the memo is only the beginning, and he's pushing for that memo to be, made public. So what he's saying right here is there are private emails that exist between Google, North Korea, and Tesla. That's what he's saying. And they need to be released as well. The memo's only the beginning. That's just the beginning. There's more to come. And the memo itself is, from what I understand, going to be pretty jaw-dropping. So what else do we have to look forward to coming out? Could be anything. The next one, which was today, early morning, 3:23 a.m. MSM is fake news. We know that. Propaganda. We know that. That doesn't even need an explanation. Talking points, 4 a.m., private email addresses, paid contractors, Judgment Day. Now, Google, Schmidt, they were all private contractors. They were paid contractors. And that wasn't an open bid where other people could bid on the contracts. It was appointed to them, which is against the law. Judgment Day. Q. So he's saying Judgment Day. It's now time. And I think that that's a good thing. Now, in terms of this memo, I want to go over one last thing that's very quick. Just some statements that are being made about this memo. Republican Matt Gaetz, I believe that's how you pronounce that, says of the memo, the House must immediately make public the memo prepared by the Intelligence Committee regarding the FBI and the Department of Justice. The facts contained in this memo are jaw-dropping and demand full transparency. There is no higher priority than the release of this information to preserve our democracy. I'm getting tired. And I believe the consequences of its release will be major changes in people currently working at the FBI and the Department of Justice. via Representative Jim Jordan. It is so alarming. The American people have to see this. Via Representative Mark Meadows. It's troubling. It is shocking. Part of me wishes I didn't read it because I don't want to believe that those kinds of things could be happening in this country that I call home and love so much. Representative Scott Perry, you think about it. Is this happening in America or is this the KGB? That's how alarming it is. Representative Peter King, the documents show a troubling course of conduct and we need to make the documents available so the public can see it. Once the public sees it, we can hold the people involved accountable in a number of ways. And some of these people should no longer be in the government. Stephen King, that's Stephen King, the representative, not Stephen King, the horror writer. I have read the memo. The sickening reality is set in. I no longer hold out hope there is an innocent explanation for the information the public has seen. I have long said it is worse than Watergate. It was never Trump and always Hillary. Release the memo. So, and this is just a funny little meme from your fake Congress. Top 10 fake excuses why we can't release the memo now. Look over there, it's a terrorist. Oops, we put it down the shithole. Trump is a bully. The memo has state secrets. Check out the UFOs. Trump said shithole. We will release it later. We need to investigate Trump. How about that weather? Would you believe the dog ate it? Release the memo. So, yeah, and I did show you that. So, that is it for these posts. I've covered them all, and I will keep an eye out for any more posts that are coming up in the next day or so or whenever, and try to cover them as they come up. And hopefully, at some point in the near future, I'll get back to analyzing the older posts as well. So, hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe, and if you like my work, consider buying me a coffee. I'll talk to you later. Bye.